All right, so I'm in my first week of playing Pokemon TCG Pocket. I vaguely remember playing the game probably when I was a bit younger. I haven't played maybe since the Flygon starter deck came out in the actual TCG. Um, but this game reminds me very much of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It's fast, it's fun, it's kind of easy, and I was able to go ahead and get to what was it, 45 wins or a gold rank using the Rapidash Ninetales deck. So I want to go through a little bit of gameplay videos, kind of show y'all what I've been doing with this deck. And this can be 3 different games. Start off with the first one. I'm going to end up going second, which I really like going second. You get to attack, and then especially if you pull the Ponyta, easy 20 damage in your first move. And we are facing off against the Articuno EX. So I do have a type weakness on this. I noticed this deck really has issues with water. My opponent plays their Misty, but I've noticed something with people who play Misty in turn one. It's almost as if it always, or like 95% of the time, whiffs. I don't know if that's part of the game or if people are just bad at flipping coins in this game. But my opponent's going to go ahead and put out a fossil on another Articuno. And I'm just going to get ready for early game aggression. Right now, that's kind of the best thing to do against decks that like to do big setups, is get as much aggression as early as possible. And so it's a little bit of chip damage, but usually in these situations it does add up in the long run. Right now, I know my opponent maybe has 1 or 2 turns before they can start attacking, so I'm going to try to go and do as much damage as possible. If I can take out that EX, I actually will be in a much better spot. And throw in the Vulpix there in the back, and then we're gonna we're gonna evolve into Rapidash, and we're gonna set up our back row to go ahead and get ready to attack when it's their turn, and then we'll use the Bling to buff the Rapidash and hit for a solid 70. So now my opponent's within lethal if I bring out the Ninetales. I think I also run one Giovanni for these situations as well. Giovanni itself is pretty niche. I don't get to use him too often. He kind of just stays there dead in my hand, but it's one of those situations where I'd much rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. So let's see what else we got here. Finally, my opponent's going to get an attack in, and even though I have the type damage, I'm able to survive that. Because I'm a Rapidash now, I got 100 HP. And now I'm ready to go ahead and go into Ninetales once I pull them out. But Rapidash is going to go ahead and KO the Articuno, giving me 2 prizes, 2 points essentially, and that's going to get me set up to finish out the game. So I do run 1 or 2 Sabrinas. I've been kind of testing around. Sometimes 2 is great, sometimes 1 is better. There's really not a lot of cards in the card pool that I find interesting. So Sabrina at 2 is fine. But we're going to go ahead and Sabrina put the Articuno in the back, and my opponent has no choice but to bring up an Amber, and that's at 40 HP. So the Rapidash is going to go ahead and take it. All right, in game 2, so I'm going to go first in this one, which already I'm not a big fan of going first. And then on top of that, I always have this issue where I end up pulling Vulpix as my starter, my basic Pokemon. And I don't see Ponyta enough or as often as I would like to. So already I'm in a bad position. My opponent busts out with the Snom. Snom is really difficult to deal with, especially if you're playing electric. It's a great starter. where it's your opponent's good starter against your electric Pokemon. Right now I'm playing fire, so I just have that type of weakness again. Draw into the Ponyta, put that in the back. There's really nothing I can do. Can't attach energy, anything like that. Don't have any searching cards in my hand. I'm going to take that damage. That is quite a bit of damage. So, Professor's Research. It's going to be great to search the deck. I decide not to go into the Rapidash just in case I draw the Alt-Art. I just much rather play that. Unfortunately, I didn't draw the Alt-Art, but we're going to use our X speed to go ahead and retreat and get the Rapidash up as fast as possible for attacking, and then red card for a little disruption. It's a -1 on my opponent, but I notice a lot of times when I give them a red card, they end up pulling exactly what they need. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and hit that Snom for 40. 40 or 50 HP is actually really good against this deck because it just buys you one more turn. And you gotta have to choose if you are gonna go ahead and use your Blaine, or hopefully you have a Giovanni. And if you don't have a Giovanni, you're kind of in a bad position there. But because my opponent wasted that energy on the Snom, that's less time that they had to build up in the back. So them misplaying kind of helped me out in the long run. Either way, the Vulpix was going to survive, and it was going to come to the back. And of course, they wouldn't know that, but hindsight, 2020. All right, so right now they're thinking, and I think they kind of noticed that as well. And they're going to go ahead and build up on the Lapras and just try to deal as much chip damage as possible, especially because it is super effective against me. So I draw into the Blaine. That's going to set me up for later turns. And I'm trying to, from what it seems like, is just trying to cycle through my deck and pull the Ninetales and get my back row ready for a Ninetales play. Then we're going to go ahead and KO the Snom. It's only going to be 1 point's worth. Hopefully I get to knock out the Lapras and take game. The cool part about this deck is if you can knock out one of their EXs as fast as possible, you are in such a good position. And right now my opponent's kind of just thinking what they want to do. So we know Lapras can't attack unless there's a Misty. So that buys me a little more time to put as much pressure as possible. Potions are the bane of this deck, that's for sure. All right, so my opponent is going to go ahead and pull the Misty and whiff on that. Loving that. A lot of times if I see my opponent got maybe 1 or 2 heads, or you know what, for sure if they get 2 heads, it's pretty much a concede for me. All right, so another Ponyta, still no Ninetales, but that's perfectly fine. We're just going to use the Blaine and try to put in as much damage as possible and get my opponent to where I have lethal with the Ninetales no matter what. Short of 2 potions, I'm pretty sure I can easily take this. And then we'll get together another Rapidash. So my opponent hasn't taken out any of my Pokemon, so I'm in a good position. I could probably lose 2 bodies and then swing in for game. And now the Lapras can attack. And there's the first potion. Is there going to be another? Can't remember. No, but there's a Bubble Drain, which is also going to heal HP. So now the Lapras is outside of lethal for Ninetales. Again, that's saying that I have to draw the Ninetales as well. So we're just going with the Ponyta. I can afford to lose it, and there's the Ninetales. So I pretty much have game at this point. So we are going to go into the Ninetales in the back, and then the Rapidash up front. Look at that beautiful Alt-Art, or 1-star. And then we'll go ahead and Fire Main. So essentially, now there's no way that my opponent can win unless they have a potion and then swing in with their healing attack. which hopefully, I don't think they have the potion. I think they're thinking that as well. So it's really interesting because in this deck, potions do nothing. In decks that play against this, potions put my opponents out of lethal range and really can sometimes cost me game. But essentially, I have game here. Lapras is at 90. Ninetales is going to do 90 damage. There's that Sabrina. I think still, again, at this point, I'm running 2. And of course, we got to get ourselves set up just in case. You never know. And then Lapras or Ninetales will go ahead and take game. All right, and then for the final game, this is going to be versus, I believe it's Machamp EX. And I am going second, so I do get that first attack. But unfortunately, I draw the Vulpix, which, again, you know, when you run 2 Vulpix, 2 Ponyta, that can happen 50% of the time, although I feel like it happens more often than that. And especially going second, I know if I draw the Ninetales, my opponent can't knock me out within that time frame, but it's still just annoying. So they have their Jigglypuff, and they're setting up their Machop in the back, along with some other stuff. And we're just going to try to search another Vulpix. Darn. It's alright. Now for sure I'll draw a Ponyta. So at least have that. And we'll get those out on the field. Unfortunately, I do not have an X speed, so I am stuck with the Vulpix there. I'm actually going to go ahead and set up for the Ponyta play, and we'll go ahead and do that. I don't know if that was the best idea. Maybe setting up for the Vulpix was probably better. Again, hindsight 2020. And in these games where card pool is super limited, there's not a lot of crazy trick plays that you can do. Learning your micro decisions is going to be one of those things that isn't that hard, but there are going to be mistakes along the way. So it looks like my opponent is getting ready to go into the Machamp EX. Oh, and then we got a Wigglytuff EX. So 140 HP. I probably would have been able to take it out had I actually got set up for the Ninetales play. Yeah, 99 is 180. So, yeah. This was a misplay on my part, but here's a Blaine. Because I'm going to try to get as much aggression as possible. And I really just should have. I don't have a Ninetales. That's why I didn't do the Ninetales play. Yeah, so no, that was the best play possible. I was running a couple potions, then I tried one potion, but you'll find that there's just nothing that potions can do to keep me from taking huge chunks of damage and losing that way. And I think kind of the bane here of this deck is not just seeing your pieces, which is like any deck. But I run 2 Ponyta and 2 Rapidash, 2 Vulpix, and 2 Ninetales. And it's just sometimes you don't see any of your pieces, sometimes you see exactly what you need. There's not a lot of deck thinning options. But also putting me to sleep is going to be an issue. Luckily, I wake up from that. And at this point, there's really just nothing I could do. I'm just so far behind. Let's see, use this potion because why not? Puts me at 40. But any attack from that Wigglytuff is going to go ahead and knock me out. And leave him at 10 HP. So potions are sometimes better just being Giovanni's. Yeah, and I kind of already know that I'm going to lose here. At this point, I can tell you I'm going to concede. Even pulling out a Ninetales at this point, there's no way I'm going to survive a big Machamp hit. So Yeah, you win some, you lose some. Honestly, seeing your piece is important, but this deck got me all the way to gold. I will say, once I hit the level right before gold, I ran into nothing but water Pokemon or water decks, and they just steamrolled me. I tried. Um, what did I try? I tried Jolteon. There we go. Jolteon for a little bit, and so I did that for a few games. I got a few wins out of it, more losses than wins, and I just went back to this deck. Even though I have some bad matchups, and I have to draw really well in order to overtake other matchups. For being a budget deck, this was a lot of fun. This was a great intro into Pokemon TCG Pocket, and I'm excited for the future of this game. I'm going to try to be free to play as much as possible, but I'm going to be honest, just those intro gold levels are definitely calling my name. Maybe spending $10 or so here or there, but I really don't want to. I don't see myself continuing to play this deck in future sets, but you never know. Maybe we'll get a Vulpix that's actually really good. Um, But yeah, everyone, thank you for watching. And I will definitely be putting out some more content, definitely some pack openings. We'll be having content on TikTok and YouTube. So check it out. Bye.